Navigating the world of step families can sometimes feel like you're trying to build something without a set of instructions. But what if I told you there are proven, evidence-based strategies that can help you put all the pieces together? Well, in this explainer, we are diving straight into the research to find out what really works.
First things first, if you're a part of a step family, you are in very good company. Think about this for a second. 42% of Americans have at least one step relative. That's more than 4 out of every 10 people. So step families aren't just common, they are a huge, vital part of our modern family landscape.
Okay, so we've established that step families are totally normal. But we also have to be honest about what the research tells us. On average, kids in step families are at a slightly higher risk for some negative outcomes compared to kids in first marriage families. Now look, the point here isn't to sound an alarm, it's to understand why this happens so we can focus on the strategies that actually make a difference.
And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to walk through a 6-part toolkit of strategies that are backed by science. We'll start with the new family landscape, then we'll cover protecting your core bond, mastering communication, parenting as a team, and creating a shared identity. And then we'll wrap it all up with something I'm calling the Great Balancing Act.
So let's jump right in with that first part, understanding the landscape. Why do these challenges even come up in the first place? Getting a handle on the why is always the first step to finding a good solution.
What's so interesting is that the research is really clear. These challenges are not about the structure of the family itself. It's not about being a step family that's the issue. It's all linked to the stress of transition. I mean, think about it. A new partner can mean a new house, maybe a new school, definitely new routines, and learning to live with totally new people. That's a ton of change for a kid to handle, and this is right where parents can step in and be a crucial buffer.
And that leads us straight to our first and maybe the most foundational strategy of all, protecting the bond you already have with your child. Through all of this change, that relationship is their anchor. So, how do you actually do that? Well, researchers have pinpointed 3 really key actions. First up, simply maintain regular contact. This is especially vital for parents who don't live with their kids. Those frequent calls and visits are directly tied to a child's well-being. Second, you've got to protect that one-on-one time. It's so easy to get focused on bonding as a new family unit, but carving out time that's just for you and your child is non-negotiable. And third, display warmth. Be really intentional with your affection.
So what does warmth even look like day to day? It's not some abstract feeling, it's stuff you can actually do. It's praising them for their effort, giving them a hug for no reason, reading a book together, or just having those private little talks where they feel like they're the only person in the world that matters. The science connects these simple actions to higher self-esteem, better grades, you name it.
Of course, a lot of that warmth comes through in how we talk to our kids. And that brings us to our second big strategy, mastering communication. This is a delicate dance, really, between being open and knowing when to keep things private. Okay, this is so important. The trick is knowing what to be open about. You absolutely want to create an open channel for everything going on in their world. Their feelings, their friends, school, all of it. That shows them they're your priority. But on the flip side, it is just as crucial to keep a firm boundary around the adult stuff. Shielding them from the nitty-gritty of the divorce or any negative talk about their other parent, that protects them from feeling like they're caught in the middle.
And nothing drives this point home more than hearing it from a stepchild who is actually part of one of these studies. This quote, it just says it all, doesn't it? It's such a powerful reminder to put the child's well-being front and center in every single choice you make about communication.
All right, that leads us into what can be one of the trickiest areas for any new step family. How in the world do you handle rules and discipline as a new team? The research here is incredibly consistent, especially early on. The biological parent needs to be the one who's the primary disciplinarian. The step-parent's role? To be supportive, to back up the parent's decisions, not to be the main enforcer. This frees up the step-parent to focus on building a relationship of warmth and trust first, without also having to be the bad guy.
Now, this brings up a really important term from the research called gatekeeping. As the biological parent, you are the gatekeeper. You're the one who determines who has access to your child and what that access looks like. It's a really powerful and necessary role.
But, and this is a big but, it is so important to avoid what the researchers call restrictive gatekeeping. So, assuming your partner is a trustworthy, caring person, things like constantly supervising their interactions or criticizing how they do things, or making little sarcastic comments, that can seriously get in the way of them building their own positive relationship with your child. The goal is to be a gate opener, to create space for that bond to grow.
So you're protecting your original bond, you're helping a new one form. The next step is to start weaving all those threads together into a new family identity.
And let's be real for a minute.
Merging two different family cultures, each with its own history and inside jokes and ways of doing things, that is tough. It takes real intentional effort. And the most powerful tool you have for building this new sense of us is creating shared routines and traditions.
And you don't have to start with something huge or elaborate. I mean, just look at the research on something as simple as family dinners. It's incredible. When stepfamilies eat together regularly, it's linked to better adjustment for kids, a stronger feeling of being a family, and even less acting out. Simple routines create stability, and that creates a powerful sense of belonging. Okay, this brings us to our final section, and it's really the big idea that pulls all of these other strategies together. Success isn't about doing any one thing perfectly. It's about learning how to manage a few essential and sometimes competing needs.
First, there's the tension we've already talked about. On the one hand, you have to protect that sacred one-on-one time with your child. But on the other hand, you also have to create shared family time to build that new team identity. You need both. It's a constant balancing act.
Second, you've got the communication tension. You need to foster openness about your child's world so they feel heard and understood. At the same time, you've got to maintain those closed boundaries to protect them from adult stress and conflict.
And third, there's this tension that's underneath everything, the classic tug-of-war between autonomy and connection. Every single person in the family needs the freedom to be their own person, but they also need the security of belonging to the group. And in stepfamilies, where everyone is figuring out their new roles, balancing these needs is absolutely key.
So here it is, the big takeaway. The goal is not to perfectly solve these tensions for good. Honestly, that's impossible. Effective parenting at a stepfamily is a dynamic, ongoing process of managing them. It's all about being mindful and making those small adjustments as you go.
And that leaves us with one last question to take with you. As you look at these balancing acts between one-on-one time and family time, between openness and closeness, between autonomy and connection, which one feels the most real for your family right now? And based on everything we've talked about, what's just one small, simple step you can take this week to help manage that balance?